Yes, what is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Now, if you're a Chelsea fan, then at the moment, the majority of you are Chelsea fans. Happy Thanksgiving Day. Yes, I've just done a Frank Lampard video, or just released a Frank Lampard video about his announcement. Go watch that if you haven't, but happy Thanksgiving Day. Like this fucking video if you're fucking buzzing on Frank. Excuse my language, but as a Chelsea fan, it's an exciting prospect. The unknown, but you know, Chelsea's greatest ever player is now Chelsea manager. Right, now I've got all my profanities and excitement out of the way. Today's video is about Frank Lampard's striking options. Who is he going to use up front next season for Chelsea? But before we do get into this video, you know what I'm going to say, guys. Please do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon to stay locked to my content. I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed and is continuing to watch my videos, so thanks for that. Right then, Frank has 3 strikers to choose from as it stands going into the next season, unless he converts a player or gets an academy player through or something. All unlikely. 3 strikers he's got to choose from Michy, batshuayi, Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud. Today, I'm not going to be talking about any sort of stats or doing the stats overlay. So, if you want some numbers, you can actually check out Tammy Abraham's numbers in the video I did about Frank's loan recalls. Go and check that out a few videos back. It's kind of more relevant now than ever as well. So, if you want some of Tammy's stats, go check that out. But today, I'm just going to be talking about my opinions on all 3 strikers and how I think they could work positively, and at the end I'll say who I think's most likely to be picked, or who I think makes the most sense. So let's start with the most senior and most experienced striker of the 3, and that is Olivier Giroud. Right, Giroud's 32 years old, the World Cup winning Frenchman, but you know what, his age doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, obviously he will become too old eventually, but as it stands, his age doesn't really bother me because Giroud never really had any pace to lose. That wasn't, you know, really his game. But Giroud still has a lot to offer, as he demonstrated recently in the Europa League final against former London side Arsenal. Also, another, I guess, negative about Giroud apart from his pace is he never really scored a ton of goals. He scored some absolute worldies, and that expression, not a great goal scorer but a scorer of great goals, has, you know, never been such a perfect fit than someone like Olivier Giroud, because he scored some absolute monsters in his time. The fact is, Giroud still does score goals. His return isn't that bad, and last season in the Europa League he was the top goal scorer. And here's a fun fact for you: the first Chelsea player to reach double figures in a European campaign. Not bad for old Oli G. But Giroud's main positive attribute isn't running about covering loads of grass or just scoring loads of goals, which, you know, sounds nice for a striker, but that isn't really his thing. It's about how he brings in the other players around him, I guess. The wide forwards, the second striker, how he's good in both boxes. Obviously he's got a really good header on him. He's so big and strong. He's got absolutely no problem with the physicality of the Premier League, like we've seen across the years at Chelsea and Arsenal. He can absolutely dominate opposition centre-backs. And a really important example of how Giroud helps the team and doesn't necessarily score goals would be his World Cup winning campaign with France. He didn't score 1 goal, which sounds pretty laughable really as a striker, but if you actually look at the campaign closely, he was one of the most important players for France. Deschamps took out Olivier Giroud and he played a sort of floating front 3 of Griezmann, Dembele and Mbappe, and the team sort of fell to shit really. But as soon as he restored Giroud to that side, bearing in mind he could have called up Lacazette but he just didn't fancy it, he restored Giroud to their side, and suddenly the balance was there and the whole team was playing so much better. If Giroud can be such a useful asset, helping the team defend and attack and progress up the pitch and play in wide forwards like Mbappe and Dembele, he absolutely can do that for Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic. And, you know, the last 18 months for Chelsea, or 2 years now, however long he's been at Chelsea, he's been a bit of a cult hero and a really useful asset. So anyway, that's the case for Olivier Giroud. Right, let's move on to Michy batshuayi. The curious case of Batshuayi. One of the best finishers, natural finishers at Chelsea Football Club, and he's at the sort of perfect age to be a club's #1 striker. He's actually also got a lot of European experience now, playing in France, England, Spain and Germany. We'll get onto his loan spells in a second. Batshuayi was a Chelsea signing and not an Antonio Conte signing. signing. Conte didn't fancy him and he rarely played him, certainly not in the Premier League. He kind of brought him on a lot of the time after the 90th minute as like a time-wasting sub more than anything else. He really didn't fancy him. Fact is, when Michy was given the chances, he scored goals. In other competitions, his record was actually very good. It was like minutes to goals record. And he did score goals in other competitions. He even scored a hat-trick against Nottingham Forest the following season, I believe. So he was banging goals. But of course, his most iconic goal, and the goal people certainly remember him for at the moment at Chelsea, is the goal that won Chelsea and Antonio Conte the Premier League. Anyway, regardless to all that, Michy was sent out on loan. Firstly to Dortmund, which he actually enjoyed a really good loan spell there, scoring a load of goals. The Dortmund fans loved him actually, but sadly he got injured and had to return prematurely and have rehabilitation at Chelsea. There was this sort of noises that he'd go back or be bought by Dortmund, but Chelsea's uncertainty and Dortmund, maybe, I don't know, a transfer fee demand, things didn't pan out and he stayed with the club. He actually went on loan to Valencia, didn't enjoy a good spell there, never really happened for him, and since he's returning to the club. So what's the deal with Michy? We've seen him in the 18-yard box as a great instinctive finisher. We've seen him actually do good combinations with other players as well. Like a good notable example would be when Willian scored that great goal against Brighton, where Hazard had the sort of, I don't know, I was going to say lucid knowledge to do the back heel to Michy. Instead of Michy trying to turn and shoot, he did another back heel, then laid off to Willian to score a great goal. The interplay was there, so he's got good instincts as a centre forward. But the rumoured issue with Michy Batshuayi, and I probably could believe this, is he's got a sort of, I guess, low football IQ. Like, he doesn't have good retention with tactical instruction. Italian coaches fucking hate that, so you can understand why Conte and maybe Sarri wouldn't be interested. But when you spend so much time on the training pitch putting in information to a young striker, telling them what to do, and then when they get on the pitch it all goes out the window, at this level that is infuriating. So that's why no coaches, apparently no coaches have ever really fancied him. And from sounds a bit mean, but from the character he is, the sort of happy-go-lucky, silly, fun guy, you could kind of maybe see that. But for me, he is a good instinctive finisher, and he's a good sniffer in the 18-yard box and a great finisher. The fact is, I can make a strong case for Giroud, but like Michy Batshuayi, we have another striker that's like that, a good sort of poacher in the 18-yard box. But he's younger, and he might be a little bit at retaining information. Which does bring us on to Chelsea youngster, academy product, English-born 21-year-old Tammy Abraham. Like I said, he's only 21 years old, and Tammy Abraham already has over 50 career senior league goals. I mean, the vast majority of these goals were in the Championship with 2 loan spells of Bristol City and Aston Villa respectively, but he's used to scoring goals at a sort of high level against physical centre-backs. And what loan spells they were. His first one at Bristol City, he just got pipped to the Golden Boot award, and he broke the record in the Championship for a teenager to score the most goals. I mean, really, really impressive. And Aston Villa last season, again, he just got pipped. He was second to the top scorer again, which is still a really good record. And I think he's the first person in 30 years to score over 25 league goals for Aston Villa, so that's kind of like another record he's breaking. I mean, he's tearing it up. Tammy did experience a loan spell in the Premier League, but this was for a Swansea side that was in absolute disarray and dropping like a stone. He was feeding off scraps in terms of chances, but there was such a dysfunction in the team. It's a really bad sample size to judge the young striker on, and for me, he needs to be put into a team where there's quality around him and a good structure and belief before you can really judge him on his Premier League ability. But as it stands, he's played at a high level, a very physical level. He's very, very young, got a lot of experience, and he's just used to scoring bags of goals. That's like in his DNA now. For me, he's like Batshuayi in many ways in terms of being a quick instinctive finisher, the ball to his feet, turn and shoot in like the 18-yard box or the 6-yard, closer to the goal. He'll turn and shoot, which is what Chelsea need. But he might be a bit more than that. Right, so who does Frank Lampard choose? You might have guessed from the way I've talked about these players that yes, I want to choose Tammy Abraham for this. Now, at first, I would forgive Frank for choosing Giroud, get the experienced player in there to sort of bed the team in and see them into the season. But I would not be surprised one bit if he sees Tammy Abraham as his long-term option. He's kept a close eye on him. Obviously, he's got Jody Morris and Edwards by his side. They want to bring in youth, and you could absolutely see Frank aspiring to have the front three of Abraham, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic. So for me, I'm not saying it's Tammy's going to be a huge success, but we have to give him that chance. He's really young, he wants to play for Chelsea, he's Chelsea born and bred, and with a young team all around him and now being coached by young English manager Frank Lampard, for me, it makes too much sense. Now, obviously the way I talked about Giroud, he's very useful, and I'm very happy to have that senior member of the squad helping out and playing a lot. And you know what? Batshuayi should absolutely stay at the club as well. We should have 3 strikers. Batshuayi might explode, score loads of goals. Every Chelsea fan will be happy. There's definitely an affection there for Michy for that league-winning goal, for the goal he scored away at Atletico Madrid, and you know the hat-trick he got. He's not like a Loic Remy, really. Chelsea fans would be happy if he did well. So 3 good options. None of them are like world-class top tier, although Giroud's got a lot of accolades. But for me, the one to be nurturing is Tammy Abraham. Right, gang, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give the video a like. Comment your thoughts down below. How do you feel about the striking options? How do you think Frank will see it? Anything else you want to ask me, or get down below. Try not to comment anything too long, just keep it short and concise, because I do want to answer as many as I can. Thank you for all your support and helping me grow. That's it, guys. Enjoy the football. I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double, silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.